Hello and welcome to our definitive guide to riding a successful sportif. Now, with particular emphasis on the Etape du Tour 2008 and in conjunction with Sports Tours International, the team behind me from Science and Sport, and Jeff Thomas, who successfully rode twice all the stages of the Tour de France, we're going to give you all the hints, the tips and all the insight you need to have a successful event. Before riding any sportif, a good tip is to make sure that you know the exact course route and you've checked out the profile. That gives you the opportunity to plan your nutrition strategy and of course to make sure that you've got the correct gearing on your bike in preparation for the event. That in turn will give you enough confidence to get yourself through any sportif. Now, the Etape du Tour of 2008 takes us from Pau to Hautacam. Takes us over 4 climbs, 2 build-up climbs, and then the Col de Tourmalet, which is one of the most famous mountains in the Tour de France. There's a fast descent off the Col de Tourmalet, giving you enough time to re-energise yourself with plenty of fuel before you take on the steep climb up to the top of Hautacam. Let's meet our team for today. We're 13 kilometres into the ride. Now, one of the most important things is you should always check your equipment that you're using and of course the nutrition you use before you come out on a sportif or indeed the Etape. Now, yesterday evening, before the start of the ride, one of the Science and Sport riders, Matt, told us he was going to ride a new bike. Now, what has happened out here on the road is that he's already having mechanical problems, so we're going to catch up with him and see what the problem is. Matt, is this an elementary error?
You could call it that. New bike out of the box on Sunday. Today's Wednesday. First time I've rode the bike. And there's just a tight link in the chain, so probably a good bit of advice for you guys back at home before you come out. If you are putting new chains on your bikes, just have a ride on them first to make sure that they're all right. Thankfully today I've got my mechanic Alan on hand, but yeah, if you're out on your own then you'd be in all sorts of trouble. I know there is Mavic neutral service usually out on the course. Obviously it just ruins your ride in this first 10 kilometres already. It's just been so annoying setting off and you're having to stop, and then you're probably on the day everyone's gone in the distance.
There you go then. Always check your bike, make sure it's set up properly and indeed you've ridden it before you go out on the Etape or indeed another sportif. The first climb of this year's Etape route takes us up to a height of 410 metres to La Bacmale. Now, the climb itself is on good road surface and it winds its way up. Don't get too carried away if you're riding the Etape for the first time. You can big ring this climb, and indeed many of the front runners will do. Probably better that if you're riding for the first or second time, maybe to be on a smaller gears, remembering that you've got the climbs of the Tourmalet and Hautacam to come. Pete, quick reaction to the first climb. What's it like?
It's a little bit of a shock to the system after being on the flattish for a while. It's quite a little tough one. It goes on, then there's a little bit of a false flat and then rises up to the point that we're at now. So yeah, it's quite tough.
I think it's fair to say we've checked bottom gear out already.
It is that steep. It doesn't look that steep.
Well, just go on long enough. If you use a lower gear with a higher cadence, it also saves your carbohydrate stores for a little later on. For the same power, you tend to burn a little bit more fat with a higher cadence.
Now, you've ridden obviously every stage of the Tour de France twice, and you've come from a background of not cycling at all, and many viewers, you know, will be maybe riding their first sportif. What advice would you give in the first hour and a half of a ride like this?
I think it's one of them. It's an endurance a stage. Take it as it's going to be a full day, and enjoy it. And I think it's a case of not trying to get too excited at the start and not try and go too hard. And you know, like the lads have already said, there's a big climb coming up, so just prepare yourself so you know that you're going to save a little bit of energy so you can get to the end and enjoy the finish as well.
The first major town that you hit after you have ridden from Pau over the first climb of the day is Lourdes. Now Lourdes is always very, very busy, and we'll have a lot of crowds out, I'm sure, ready to watch you as you race through on the Etape route. Following Lourdes, you go over the second climb of the day, a little small climb before you descend down to the base of the Col de Tourmalet. The second climb of the 2008 Etape route takes us from the little village of Escoubet to the village of Loucroupe at the top. Quite a difficult climb, 2.1 kilometres, and when you reach the top you're at the 77 kilometre mark and you're at 510 metres. For the first time, however, take a glance over to the right hand side because you will see the mountains that you're going to be heading towards. The Col de Tourmalet beckons in just a few kilometres time. Matt, the second climb of the day, what's it like?
Yeah, it's steady really. We rode it really well. I think if we'd have really gone hard from the bottom, then it would have been awful towards the top. But at the bottom, I just put it in 39.23 and just sat there, just steady away all the way up. But it's just a steady gradient all the way. It doesn't really go up or down. It just steady, constant gradient. But yeah, it's pretty tough.
The first major climb of the 2008 Etape is the iconic Col de Tourmalet. First featured in the Tour de France in 1947, it is the climb that has been featured in the race more than any other, in fact 47 times. Such riders as Eddy Merckx, Fausto Coppi, Richard Virenque and Robert Miller have been first across the Col de Tourmalet. It is a fantastic climb. You race out of Saint-Marie-de-Campagne and it's about 17 kilometres of non-stop climbing all the way to the peak of the Col de Tourmalet, where you will see the monument to Jacques Godet. Now Jeff, we're here in the sunshine at the bottom of the Col de Tourmalet. Just describe the feeling when you come around the corner and you see the mountain.
It's amazing. I mean, like you mentioned before, I've done the Tour twice, and this actually going around this corner and you can actually see the climb. A lot of climbs in the Alps, Pyrenees, you're just going along the valley and you're just going up a winding road. You never see the immense task that's in front of you like it is here, and it's a spectacular view. Just a bit jealous that the guys are riding today. I'm not getting that challenge.
Now it's about 17 kilometres from the village here. We go up through La Mongie up to the top of the Col de Tourmalet. You were told first of all years back that you wouldn't be able to climb any mountains, never mind the number you have. So as a first-time rider to the Etape, how can you motivate yourself to get there, to the top of this mountain?
I think it's just preparation. I think first of all is letting your mind be the challenge, take the challenge on, because if you're going to say, no, I can't do it, you won't do it. But if you're open-minded and say, right, I'm going to give myself the best chance, and preparing yourself, training, you can't do the training that you need for a mountain like this back home. So you've just got to prepare, getting the miles in your legs, and then enjoy. I mean, it's going to be a broom, but the emotions that you'll go through when you're going up there, the strain, the stresses you put your body up under, is going to be forgotten when you reach that top, because it's such an emotional thing to do.
Now, riders ride up the Tourmalet, and then of course we've got the big descent and we go up the climb of Hautacam. Should you hold something back, or should you just ride this as though it's the only mountain of the day?
No, I think again, a mountain, you've got to go up at your own pace. I don't think there's any sense in attacking any mountain unless you're in a race. I think it's a case of the Etape is something that it's like the marathon. You want to get to the finish, and you want to get to the finish feeling like you've achieved something, not feeling that I don't want to do that again. And I think just looking at the view here, it's spectacular. just jealous of the guys that are going to be taking on this next year.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That's the Col de Tourmalet. We're going to see the Science and Sport team ride their way to the top of it, and then we'll find out what they think of the climb and give you a little bit of feedback on gearing and everything else.
What gear are you in?
What are you gearing, Sean?
I'm in 39.27. No more gears. Per usual. 86k is too heavy. Don't do it.
How are you, Peter?
Just remind me why I'm doing this again.
'25 sprocket now.
You're in the 25 sprocket.
Well and truly.
Fatal tactical blunder by going too early on the climb. It's 6 miles at top, Matt.
6 miles to the top, how you feeling?
I'm alright at the moment, yeah. So, 6 miles a long way on a mountain, especially at 8 to 10 mile an hour. So you do need to control your efforts.
You still eating and drinking?
Sorry?
Still eating and drinking?
Yep.
All the time on the climb?
Yep. It's mainly water and gels on climb. I'm not that far off the threshold, so I need to be very careful. Don't tell Matt though.
We're 8 kilometres into the climb.
Yeah,
So
it's
Pete,
going 9% gradient, 10% now, 1325 metres. Quite steep.
how you
Getting high,
feeling?
getting cold.
How you feeling?
Alright, just riding nice pace. No point in killing myself.
Do you think that's important?
Sorry?
You should ride your own pace.
Yeah, really important. Try and go with the other guys and you just end up climbing off rather than climbing up. So it's all about getting to the finish.
How are you, Matt? Looks hard now.
Yeah, it took the last 3 or 4k at like 8.5, 9%. He's sucking the 25, well and truly.
Easy ride then, Tim.
And now it's cold. No, I think about 290 watts was worth about 12 kilometres an hour just on that last bend. So this is a tough old climb. And there's plenty of potential to go a little bit too hard on the run up to it before it gets steep. It's cold now.
It's turning into an epic. It's like 88 with a gyro here, braking in Hampstead at the Garvey here.
It's the
It's going to be
Gavier
complete carnage.
The top of the epic Col de Tourmalet is 2,115 metres and comes 116.5 kilometres into the Etape. Now, Jeff, we're here next to the monument to Jacques Godet, who was the director of the Tour de France from 1936 to 1986. What's the feeling like when you reach the top of a mountain like this?
Oh, it's immense. It's an emotional time. You put your body under so much stress and pain, but to actually do them final couple of metres, it takes all that away because of view you get, and that sense of achievement is fantastic.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the weather on the way up here because it's snowing, and we were saying, well, you know, it's October and it's snowing, but of course you've been on the Galibier and you've had conditions like this in earlier on in the years.
Well, middle of July, you know, you expect when you set off on the stage at 28, 29 degrees, you expect something similar near the top, but we've set off in shorts, but terrible mistake. It was snowing 3 degrees, and you know, you've taught us a great lesson. You need to be prepared for anything, because these mountains can chuck down snow, the temperature can drop very quickly, and you need to be aware of that.
So very important then, as you prepare for the Etape, to go out and train in all conditions and test your clothing out as well.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's no good just going out when the sun's shining. So you need to get out there and test yourself when it's raining, when the temperature's not at its best, because, like I say, your eyes are a few hundred metres and it can change very quickly.
Now, you and I have had the luxury of sitting in the van on the way up the Col de Tourmalet today. The science and sport riders obviously have ridden the whole way up here. What do you think of the climb?
I think the climb, to be honest, is probably one of the most picturesque and one of the best climbs I've seen on the tour. I mean, I've taken part in two tours, and this, I've never been anywhere near the Tourmalet before, but it's fantastic. You can see the climb sort of open up in front of you. A lot of the climbs are hidden away by the valleys, and the road seems to snake up, and you don't realise you're on a mountain until you're halfway up. But this, you can see that what's in front of you, and it's spectacular.
Excellent. Well, Jeff and I will go down the descent, and then we will watch the riders go up the climb of Hautacam, where the Etape finishes. So don't forget, when you crest the top of the Col de Tourmalet, take a little moment and just have a look at the memorial to Jacques Godet. All right, Roy, you're at the top of the Col de Tourmalet. How are you feeling?
Worse than I was before. The last 3 miles, I think it is, just absolutely as steep as anything. The hairpins are steep, and the straight bits in between are just even steeper. So you really need to pace yourself. It's amazing, you know.
So very important to pace yourself. And now, obviously, you're feeling a little bit tired. What will you do to recover by the time you get to the next climb?
I need to have some food now, so I'm going to have like a cereal bar, a go bar. I've just had a gel, and I'm going to actually stock up on some more drink. You know, PSP and go. And then main thing is feed on the way down, so when you hit the next climb, you're as fresh as you can be.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the exhilarating descent off the top of the Col de Tourmalet. After the thrilling descent, you reach the valley floor, and there's some great rows which will give you time to make sure you drink and you eat before the climb of Hautacam. This is the final climb of the Etape du Tour, the 16th edition, and it will also be the final climb of stage 10 of the 2008 Tour de France. Now, this climb has featured only 3 times in the Tour de France. The first time in 1994 when the stage was won by Luc Leblanc, and of course some of you may remember the attack of Lance Armstrong in 2000 when Javier Ochoa won the stage and Armstrong left the great Marco Pantani behind. Let's remind ourselves of that attack now.
Well, I never thought I'd see the day when Lance Armstrong would blow away the man we've always referred to as the finest climber we've ever seen in the current peloton of cycling, but he started it and Armstrong has finished it, and now Lance Armstrong has written off the riders on the climb of Etape.
So if you're feeling good when you hit the base of this climb, you could try and emulate Lance Armstrong in 2000 and race your way up the Haute-Cam, or if you just want to get yourself to the finish, maybe just take the gas off a little bit and ride to the top of the climb. Now Jeff, this is a difficult climb. It's one of the toughest on the Tour de France of 2008. It's about 13 kilometres, it's 7.2% as an average gradient, but it really kicks up at the beginning at 9%. Now you've ridden many of these climbs. What's it like when you get to a mountain top finish?
Well, you've got that in your mind that you're finishing at the top, so it probably takes the pressure off a little bit. And with the Etape itself, it's if you've got anything left, like you say, why not have a go?
Now, is there many times when you've been out there on the roads on these mountaintop finishes and you've had enough in reserve to give it a good old kick up the climb?
I'd like to say yes, but I can't really. But no, I think it is a mind factor thing. I think if you're finishing at the top, I think if you do push yourself a little bit more, because you know that's it, that's the end. And like I say, that feeling again is be a great feeling when you get there.
Now, of course, very important that you don't get to the climb and forget everything that we've talked about all the way through. Your eating, your drinking and everything else.
Exactly right. I think it's probably the most important stage, because you probably relax a little bit thinking this is it, I've only got another 15-20k to go at the most, and probably take your mind off it a little bit, and that's when it can hurt you. So you've got to keep preparing yourself for what's to come.
Excellent. So this is the final climb. We'll see the Science and Sport team ride their way to the top, show you what the climb is like. Haute-Cam, the finish is at 154 kilometres. They've got 13 kilometres of climbing left to do. How's a Haute-Cam, Pete?
Tough. Really hard at the bottom. This is over 10% now. It's really steep at the bottom.
What gear are you in?
34.25.
Is that bottom gear?
Yeah.
34.25. Okay.
Yeah, legs are a bit wasted.
Okay. How much altitude you got now?
1,025, so 500 more metres, more climbing to do.
Okay.
In about 5.5k, so 100 metres a kilometre.
That's quite a lot.
So that's how tough this last bit's going to be.
So would you say people need to hold a bit for this last climb?
Yeah, he's got to definitely. It's quite tough in the valley from the bottom of the Tourmalet. There's a headwind all the way along there. So it all adds up. But we'll get there.
Hi Roy, 5 kilometres from the top, how are you feeling?
Terrible.
Right. Why is that?
Tired.
Tired?
Yeah. Back, arms, neck, they're all hurting me pulling up bars. The 10% just really takes it out of you. I've had a couple of 6%, it's been alright. But the 10% that kills it.
So is this climb much harder than the Tourmalet?
I think it's just this tired. But it feels like it's harder. Just got to pedal.
Matt, you look alright on this climb.
Feel it. Not too bad, it's tough. It's like, starts off pretty difficult. Like 9%, about 3k's. And then it sort of lures you in and you get a couple of k's at 6% and you think, oh, this is alright. And then they go and stick two 10k kilometres, 10% kilometres in that just are horrible. So,
But you're spinning up here quite nicely.
yeah, the 25 is not too bad. It's the last 3k's been at about 8%, so I'm sort of on it at quite a good rhythm, but I might look okay, but I don't certainly feel it.
And have you had any food and drink on this
Oh
climb?
God, I've about 2 bottles on this climb, and 3 gels, 2 normal and 1 smart one.
On this
climb.
How are you, Sean?
I'm not as good. I'm not in as good a condition as I was on the Tourmalet.
Why do you think that is?
I went too hard at the bottom.
Pete, first, I think you might have demonstrated what happens if you just take it at your own pace. You caught 2 riders on the way up.
No, I was planning to pace it all day. I mean, the first 100k was a little bit fast for me with these younger, stronger boys, so I decided that when I got to the climbs I really had to pace it, because you can get sucked along, and if you do you'll pay the price, because Tourmalet, there's only 2 climbs on this Etape next year, but the Tourmalet's tough, and this Haute-Cam is just, it's a pig. At the bottom it's 10%, and then 3-4 kilometres to go, hitting 10% again, and it's just relentless, absolutely relentless. But it just shows if you do pace it, you will get here, and that's what the challenge is all about. So,
excellent. Good sense of achievement.
Yeah, fantastic. It's nice to do something. Always ride on some legendary climbs where some top quality action's taken place that you've witnessed on the TV. So it's nice to actually come out, and you just it's hats off to these guys. It's ultimate respect is that you watch on the TV and you think, oh yeah, I'd be able to maybe go up, not too bad, but when you actually ride them, it's pretty much survival.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, cheers guys, thanks.
Tim, we're waiting for the final rider to reach the top of the Haute-Cam, but there's a little bit of a story here.
Well, Peter's a great case study for us here, in that he was ripping it up over the early climbs. He's a very, very fit guy, very, very strong guy, probably a bit more of a triathlete than a long-distance cyclist. Yeah. But those little efforts are very costly in terms of your carbohydrate stores. So apart from feeding, you also have to pace yourself carefully in order to leave something left for especially something as hard as this.
Well, let's see what sort of state he's in when he gets here.
Well, I'm sure he'll still be smiling somehow.
Well done. How was that final climb, Pete?
It was tough in the middle. It starts off okay because you got a few bits and pieces where it sort of levels off a little bit, and then you get a couple of Ks where it's like 8, 9, 10% constant, and then I suppose the last 2 kilometres levels off a little bit again. So it's not as bad as the Tourmalet, but as it's the last one, it's a tough cookie at the end of the day. Yeah.
There we have it then, the Etape du Tour of 2008. It's the 16th edition and it's the 10th stage of the 2008 Tour de France. It takes us from Pau to Haute-Cam over the famed climb of the Col de Tourmalet and then up the final climb of Haute-Cam. Jeff, you've been with us all day. What do you think of the Etape for 2008?
I think it's a fantastic stage. I think the Tourmalet is one of the best scenic, best challenges that is out there in the Pyrenees, and I think it's going to be a great occasion.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. We've taken you through a definitive guide to how to ride a sportive, focusing on the Etape du Tour 2008. From Sports Tours International, the riders of the team of Science in Sport, from Jeff Thomas and myself, Anthony McCrossan. Thanks for watching.
Top tip, most sportives are very, very hilly. Any mass you can lose, especially fat mass, will make it a whole lot more pleasant experience.
It really does preparation. You need to prepare before you come out here, and then especially with diet and everything, train as you're going to be riding, You know, it's back in England, so when you get out of here, it can't sort of go wrong.
I'd say no heroics in the beginning, and have some respect for the 2 big climbs that are out on the course. Just pace yourself and make sure you recover well after the Tourmalet. Plenty of eating, plenty of drinking, and then that is an energy drink, of course, and just enjoy it.
Don't be afraid to let people go ahead, because you really got to save something for the last climb on this one in particular. So if a mate or someone you've ridden with all year wants to nail it and go off the front, then don't be afraid to let him go. Don't do the macho thing, it's not worth it.
Come prepared, do the right training, and then pace yourself on the day and just basically enjoy it.
The key issue for me would be, after riding the stage, that you must train for the event. So one of our sports tours holidays or training camps or Etape weekends would be an ideal situation to go on.
Well, I think that it's important that if you can, try and get a post or pre-race massage during the preparation and your training programme, because whilst the bike's sorted out, you've got to consider about your own physical condition. Training and stretching and all that before you actually start is important, and afterwards.
And where could someone find some information on that?
To get a qualified sports master, you need to go on a website. I can find that can be found with Google, or maybe a local cycling club will point you in the right direction on that.
I suppose for this etape, you want to make sure that you don't attack too early. It's a fair way, it's about a good 80 kilometres I think before you really start to climb the Tourmalet. And it's very easy to get, dragged up with a couple of riders and just first few little climbs just go hard, but you really want to be taking it easy on those ones, because there's much more to come at the end of it.
Well, final conclusion what I came up with, all the guys yesterday, very good cyclists, but I don't think one of them would admit that they didn't have enough gears. Some of them were really struggling come the end of the ride, and if they had a few more teeth on their cogs, I think they would have found it a lot easier. So my tip to anybody doing the Etape 2008 would give themselves a few more gears than they normally would do on a normal ride.